I ran into an old friend the other day. He reminded me of myself. He would sit and ponder shit that was of interest to no one else. He spoke about his struggles and how his goals gave rise to dust. And he was not a fighter, no, wasn't bred like the rest of us. See, his daddy used to play pluck a cord on his body when he was oh so young. And his mother, she ignored the games because she was strung by a distant love song. So this friend, you see, he was the epitome of what trials and tribulations represent. He tried his best to lie to rest the dull beating of a heart ill-equipped. This boy, he grew into a man who was a conundrum of his time, with knowledge vast and wisdom slashed by the hopeless fields of his mind. To others who knew him, he seemed awkward and mad dreamy, a mad cool brother at best, well-intentioned and intriguing. He suffered from variations of dementia precox and such, and at one point in consideration of rage thought it all too much. Isolation and self-hatred sowed seeds in his youth. He'd heard voices in his head that told him he was ugly and a fool. He was never the epitome of deceit, but wore scars of faded memories, trauma deemed obsolete. Memory didn't manifest itself in cognition or complete recall. Instead, the life that he lived and the way that he lived it said it all. In relationships with female counterparts, his fear of intimacy made guilt his brute. He felt guilty every time he came close, too close for closeness desirable. He couldn't understand, no, he couldn't comprehend the long-term effects of his undisclosed childhood sexual abuse. He once told me that he thought himself half crazy to believe his gut to be true, like, how could the man commissioned to protect him unhurt possibly be the one who, in childhood, treated him as if he was of little value? He never realized the impact, no, not till 30 years maturity, never pieced together the pieces, his father's confession and obscurity. Said that in bouts of psychosis and mental illness, he once asked for his father's blessing of a prayer. And all that that man could say before grabbing his hands was, sometimes man has lust that he alone cannot bear. He struggled with those words, freaking tumbled through those words as he fumbled around his nerves, confusion and despair. He cried in the day through masks of insecurity, mistrust, and an aloof air. At night he cried through vivid dreams, awful sights, nightmares, and loneliness deep in despair. Never once did he recognize just how powerful suppressed early experiences could be. They affected him day to day through a host of subconscious pleas. Years ago, I asked him why it was so hard to acknowledge what his soul was pointing to. He said he didn't know except he had little proof. I asked him if there would be someone around him who could validate the truth. He said all those who came before him couldn't, for they were silenced in their youth. When last I saw him, he asked me for just one little thing. He said, whisper for him a simple prayer, that he win the battle of the self that fails to dance.